When you stand for something, it's going to cost you. When you step up to do something, it's going to cost you. People don't understand when you stand up and when you step up, why you do that. Because you got to understand that righteousness is bigger than anything else. And when you stand up and step up, it does not mean that you'll get what you want. But what it does mean is that God will get what he wants. And sometimes God looks for an example who will stand up and declare righteousness in the midst of an unrighteous world. Sometimes God is looking for somebody who say, I'll do it. I don't care what they say, how it feels, or what the situation is. Sometimes you got to weather the storm, not because it's your battle, it's because it's God's battle that he put you in. Sometimes it's not your fight, but it has your consequence. And you got to go after it because God has given you a charge to keep, and you got him to glorify. And sometimes you fight not because you picked it, but because you just got caught in it. I hope you hear what I'm talking about. Sometimes you got to go after it no matter what it looks like. Somebody here talk to your neighbor and say, I'd rather be a victor than a coward. Come on, tell you that, man. Too many cowards out there. Somebody tell your neighbor, too many cowards, too many cowards. How are you going to be a believer and not have courage? You got to have courage. You got to have fight in you. You got to have a fight that nobody understands. Oh, y'all got to hear what I'm talking about. If you don't have a fight that nobody understands, you're not walking in your belief. Your belief got to have a fight that nobody understands. You got to go after it because it's the right thing for you to do. I mean, sometimes you're going to make your family upset. Sometimes you have to make people close to you not understand you. My God, but righteousness will stream down like water. And he'll make blessing come our way and we trust him with our lives. You got to fight. Look at your neighbor and say, is there any fight left in you? Don't answer him. Answer him. You any fight left in you? You just sit around waiting for stuff to come to you or waiting for somebody to tell you it's all right. Somebody got to convince you it's all right to be you. However God made you, who you were born to be, it ought to show up in you without anybody having to do. Listen here, unrighteousness ought to provoke righteousness out of you. Some point, justice ought to be something you want to see happen because you belong to God. How sobering is that? We don't get a chance to play both sides. Don't get a chance to play both sides. Sometimes God says, jump in and fight. If you in the family, you better be in there fighting. I hope y'all hearing what I'm talking about. My dad used to say, we lived 4241 West Roosevelt Road, and I went to Bryan School over there, and as I did 4th and 5th grade over there, and as we were over there, my dad used to say, listen here, I know that your brother starts stuff and stuff like that, but if he get in a fight, Howard pick a fight, you're going to have to fight with him. You're going to have to fight for him in the middle of it and stuff like that. You in this family, you're going to have to fight. You fight together. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying here. I know that sounds a little hard to some of y'all, but the whole deal is that listen here, when you talk about survival of who you are in your faith, you cannot quit. You got to fight with the faithful. That's what it's about. You got to fight with the faithful here. And so here's the whole deal here. It's an interesting situation because in Isaiah 9, 6, and 7, he's known as the Prince of Peace. But in Luke 19, here where we are, he's about to have a rough and exhaustive week. Jesus is coming into the city. Can I paint you a picture here? We're here, and then we're in one moment, just a moment here, stuck here on this day called Palm Sunday. I decided not to talk about Jericho. and the palm trees and the roads that actually named the essence of what it is, the oldest city in the world that was some miles away. But I decided to talk about him being on Mount Olives, a unique posture here because the traditional character, the traditional calendar for these events of the Lord's week looks pretty rough. Look at your neighbor and say, it's about rough. It's rough and exhaustive. Somebody say rough and exhaustive. Say it. I want you to get it. On Monday, he ends up cleansing the temple because the caretakers are both buying and selling, and they're doing their own marketing instead of doing it. So on Monday, he ends up saying, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you've made it a house of thieves and dens, a den of thieves here. On Tuesdays, he's going through controversies with the Jewish leaders. They have been exceptionally mad at Jesus ever since he raised Lazarus from the dead. And because when he did that, he did a miracle that nobody had ever seen after Lazarus had been dead for 4 years. And they could not deny the power that God put on his life. So they are upset with him. So they argued and they were against him and they were plotting against him. On Wednesday, he finally was getting a break from them. And on Wednesday, he apparently had a day of rest and contemplation to get ready to save his strength up because he had a rough week coming here. On Thursday, he was doing a preparation for the Passover. Y'all remember the Passover? Back in the day in Egypt there, the traditional day of the death angel spared the firstborn while the sons of Israel were literally enslaved in Egypt. Later, Jesus would have to prepare himself on the very same day and as the begotten son of the Father for his own death. On this particular day, he would have supper with a doubter named Thomas, a denier named Peter, a deserter, a bunch of disciples who would leave him in trouble. He gonna have dinner with them on the Thursday, and before Thursday could end, he ends up being caught in a situation where he seeks to have an intercessory prayer meeting in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he ends up alienated by his intercessors who by their fatigue couldn't stay woke and pray with him for 1 hour. Somebody say, it's a rough week. It's a rough week for Jesus. And at this time, he asked them, he said, because he's looking at what's going on, and before he could get out the garden, he's going to go through being betrayed by Judas, one of his disciples, for just a little money. Ultimately, he'll be denied by his own inner circle, Peter. Look at all this. A doubter, a denier, a deserter, alienated, and betrayed. And he ain't even got to the cross yet. Here it is, a setup. Here he is in this unusual posture he has to deal with. And he's denied, really here, he's going to be denied by Peter, who any other time he had to tell him to shut his mouth. When he got a chance to speak up, he wasn't saying nothing. You ought to have problems sometimes with people who talk all the time when it's comfortable, and when they uncomfortable because they got to stand for something, they get quiet. Oh my God, yes. Between Thursday and Friday and Saturday, he ends up with the trial, and then at the cross among thieves, and his crucifixion continues, and he gives up the ghost, and he starts his travel. Notice all this stuff is taking place. Somebody said, "What a week!" Look at you and say, "What a week!" What a week. He ends up after he gets on the cross, and after he goes through the process, and and as he dies on the cross, he descended first. Somebody say, descended first. His body rests in the tomb, but his spirit went to work to rescue those from the antediluvian world before Noah's flood. You know, you got to understand, before Noah's flood were a whole group of people who never were part of Abraham's seed or the promise. So those people who had died needed a chance to get to God. So Jesus goes into hell and he preaches to them while he's in hell to make sure they get a chance to to have salvation and to know Jesus Christ. I know I'm talking a little past some of y'all, but I need y'all to come on up so you can understand what's really kind of happening. Bishop, where you get that from? Ephesians 4:9 says, now he that ascended, but what is it that he that also descended first into the lower parts of the earth? He that descended is the same that also ascended far above the heavens, that he might fill all things. Why did he do that? 1 Peter 3:19. He went and preached to the spirits which were in prison. Why did he do that? 1 Peter 4:6. For this cause was the gospel preached to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to God in the spirit. Why did he do that? Ephesians 4:7. But unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Christ, wherein he said that he that ascended on high, he first, when he went up, he led captivity captive, and he gave gifts to men. First of all, he had to lead captivity captive, and then he started sprinkling out gifts. What gifts? And he gave some apostles, and he gave some prophets, and he gave some evangelists, he gave some pastors, and he gave some teachers for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we all come together in the unity of faith. Now you understand what the scripture is. He went through all of that on his way just to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to get to him. And then on Sunday, he gets up. Hold on. Somebody say, what a week. What a week. What a week. Oh, did not we start off saying he was going to have a hard and difficult week? And here we are, pushing the clock back 7 days before he puts himself into all of this. He has a choice to enter into the city or say, forget them. It's Palm Sunday. It's the week he made a choice for me. I wish there was somebody in here who could just be grateful that God chose you over all the stuff he had to go through, that he chose you over all the issues that were going to take place. I mean, isn't it awesome that he knew what was going to happen? He even asked the Father, if you would, let this cup be removed from me. And then he turned around and said, no, nevertheless, not my will, but your will. Somebody just holler, he did it for me. He did it for me. Every once in a while, listen here, when we take Lord's Supper, you need not to act like you drinking some juice and you eating a cracker. You got to understand that when we start taking the Lord's Supper, we're remembering that week. We're remembering that sacrifice. We're remembering that test that he went through. We're remembering those situations he went through just for us. And now, 1 week ahead here, he's at his triumphant entry. Just 1 week before all this chaos, things look great. He's at the top of Mount Olive. The king is coming. Yes. The question is, will you welcome him in?